Another episode of The Oddest Couple with the oddest couple in former mob hitman John Alite and myself, Felix Levine. If you're watching this right now, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, the little bell, like this video, comment if you are listening to this right now. Subscribe in terms of getting notified wherever you're listening to this, whether it's Apple, Spotify, etc. If you haven't done so already, please take a quick second, go on Instagram, follow me at felix.levine and follow John at John Alite. If you're on TikTok, do the same. It's at True John Alite on TikTok and at Felix Levine for myself on TikTok. I think that's enough of the housekeeping right there.
I forgot. We never did a live. We were supposed to do a live.
Yeah, we can do that in the future. We'd have to just set it up and plan ahead of
I
time.
want to do those call-ins again.
Yeah, so we're thinking of doing those call-ins. People really enjoyed those. Those are really fun too.
Yeah, I like.
So we just gotta, in this new studio, I just gotta figure out how I'm gonna hook it up, but it won't be too hard. So if you're interested in that, let us know. Let us know. You can write to John or myself.
Off those, like if you leave it at me, I'm gonna have one of those cups with the string. We can send it out the window because that's the only way anything's gonna work with me.
Yeah, I know. I know. If I told John to set it up, that's exactly how you'd have to set it up.
I get a long string.
This guy doesn't even know how to click through like a. That was crazy. I taught John how to go through Instagram stories today. He was like, "Oh, there's a picture from 3 days ago." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And it's the whole point of a story. It's 24 hours, but whatever. I'll get you there one day. Yeah. So my favorite thing is whenever you're talking about technology, you're like, Felix, I can't do the computers. He's talking about his phone, and you're like, and I'm like, John, this is a phone. There's a computer right here. That's a phone.
It was up to me to go back to beam.
Yeah. Whenever you get mad, you're like, Felix can't fucking figure out these computers and all this, and I'm like,
I just did work in my house, right? So I called my son's friend up, and I go, "Can you come over here?" He goes, "What?" I said, "I can't turn on not one TV in my house."
You really?
It's listen. I want to break the TVs. I'm like, listen, it's 3 cords. How hard could this be?
But I know you literally went into the cord on the TV.
I swear. Listen, I worked on it all night. I couldn't get it to work. The next morning, I called him.
That's true. You're pretty bad with this. It makes you.
Thanks.
It ages you from your real age of 28 to your fake age of 62.
Listen, everybody can identify as what they want. I am now 28 and I'm a refrigerator because I like to eat.
Jesus Christ, you can get us canceled. That's bad. We might have to cut that part. Anyways,
do not cut that part. I'm 28.
That part is good. The refrigerator part will get you canceled.
I like to eat. Why was a refrigerator really? I'd be stuffed up with steak. I like chocolate pudding pie.
No, that I don't. Chocolate pudding pie.
I'd be fighting with my cat with a little box.
Ay. That is no good. Anyways, so on a more serious note, today we're going to talk about I think one of our first kind of few episodes we spoke about being able to live with yourself, and this is a little bit different. I think it's more how do you take responsibility, right, for everything that you've done, and because that there's a lot of people that have resentment towards you, and I think there's people that have been able to forgive you, but people that haven't. And I think ultimately, though, there's a lot. You are responsible for a lot of damage in a way, right? If that's objectively, if somebody was looking in and they looked at your life, they would say this human being, aka you, is responsible for a lot of hurt. And so I guess for you, it's like how do you in this reformed life, much removed from that point in time, take responsibility?
Well, people say I'm a Republican, right? So 50%.
I know, you're a big Democrat. No, but you're a huge Democrat.
On this, well, I am, because they believe in second chances and third chances.
Oh, so you do it when it's favorable for you.
So it's favorable.
Classic.
I'm on Democrat side now because they said, listen, everybody says, listen, but I tell you the truth, listen, the only way to take responsibility, anybody, when everybody's writing me and they talk, I don't want to laugh, especially on this serious concept, you're making me laugh.
I'm making you laugh because Johnny Alite's a Democrat, and that's gonna anger a lot of people.
I want to go back and tell them I'm on Bill Maher's side. I'm going to say, listen, party has changed. I haven't.
I have it.
All right. So here's the truth. You know, when people say, and I do believe in this, and I'm going to repeat it again, Oscar Lugo, who should be home, and who people need to look at his case and understand why I'm saying this, because change is accepting what you used to be, who you are today, and who you want to be in the future. And unfortunately, you can't change what happened in the past as much as you regret it, as much as you want it to change. You just got to change your actions today, tomorrow, the next day. So when I say that I accept my responsibility for what I did, is I'm just very honest about my life. You know, people aren't perfect. A lot of people did a lot of shitty things. This guy recently with the crypto, I forget his name. He's got the crazy
Sam Bankman-Fried.
You know, he just got charged with it.
Yo, I saw that. Because he tried to bribe some Chinese guy.
Here's
It was like the Chinese official, right?
Yeah.
Like,
See, the problem is, again, taking responsibility.
something like that.
You can, and this is people got to understand this. Money crimes are worse than violent crimes. And I got to watch how I say that.
Yeah, you got to watch it.
Because, and I'm not talking about violent crimes, I'm talking about the mob world. Because this guy's destroying thousands of lives of stealing people's life savings of money. And here's what I'm going to say. Now, if he regretted it and said, I'm really sorry, but instead he's doubling down and trying to bribe people. And it's incredible to me that, and he's out on bail. It's crazy. And then he says he has no money. And the way you getting the money to live like this, you're living like a multimillionaire still in his excuse. So for people that don't know, is he gifted 10 or 20 or 30 million to his parents, which is a joke because he got around everything as a tax and it's his money. He just put it in their bank account. And how is that acceptable? I have no idea when you got people that invested their life savings in them and other things and they're completely destroying them. In our mob world, and it's not justifying it, we went after each other. No different than I told my kids if somebody killed me. I signed up for that a long time ago. It's part of what I signed up for, even though it's a crazy life, right? But, and that's not justifying it, is me saying that life is bad. Everything I talk about it, it's bad. Everything that brings upon my own personal life, my family's life, my friends' lives, my enemies' lives is bad. And anybody that says it's not, they're lying.
When do you think you took responsibility fully for the first time of what you had done?
When I came home from Brazil, when I had a wake-up call that so many people were testifying against me. And then I said, wow, what am I doing here? What is all the things that I lived was a life of lies, a life of bullshit, treachery, deceit, no loyalty. And then I'm saying like everything I did was just a waste of life on all ends, not just for my own life, but other people's lives and people that were my enemies. You know, I speak about them too. Like some of them I liked, even though they were my enemies, I respected them. I liked them in different ways. I might have respected them in the life they were. They weren't frauds. They were really who they were, tough and this and that. Even though it was a lousy life, I got to be honest. Like I talk sometimes about some of my enemies and people hear me say, well, you speak highly of them even though you don't like them. I go, I might not have liked them, but I respect them. A lot of them were smart businessmen. A lot of them were tough. A lot of them could have been very successful if they did something in a different way. So I got to be honest about that, right? And the ones I didn't respect, I still am very honest about them too. I don't have a filter. I just say it the way it is. But if you change your life and you did the right thing, you have to say to yourself, honestly, I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have did this. I shouldn't have done that. And you got to move forward, you got to be responsible for what you did. If you don't take responsibility and you always play the victim, and you say, well, I did that life because I had a hard life, or
But
I grew up in this area. That's not taking responsibility.
but before that though, it doesn't sound like you were like that. Like before Brazil, let's say, like, it doesn't sound like you ever played the victim card for yourself.
No, I never played the victim card.
Like, even when you were active, right? You didn't say, oh my God, poor me, like I had to join the Mafia because I grew up around violence. You never say it like that.
No, I don't like it. I don't like when anybody plays the victim card. I say it every day, that every person in every situation, there's a lot of rich kids out there who don't have a good family life. So even though they have money, they don't have family, they don't have love, so, they can play the victim card too, really. Money isn't everything in life.
No, I know.
So I just try to say, like, your situation, we all in different situations, deal with it. Don't, Condoleezza Rice actually said that. She was on The View. And they went after her, not after her, after the subject of people who have money or don't have money. And she said, listen, and she's an articulate woman. She's very intelligent. And she's right. She says, listen, you can be anything you want to be if you want to be. It doesn't matter where you start. It's where you finish. And if you really want to go to school, and I could have continued with school, and I didn't. So, it doesn't matter what my situation was. I chose to take a shortcut, and it screwed my life.
Did part of you, when you could have gone to school, did you ever have doubts about if you could be successful if you didn't choose the mob life?
No, I knew I could be successful. That's the funny thing. Like, except in a trade, I'm terrible with anything with my hands. If I'd been an electrician, I'd be dead and would electrify myself. There'd never be running water in my house if I was a plumber. So some of that stuff, no. But I did things like I passed the Series 7 test, right? People said, oh, I studied the 10 years of testing because it's the same test, right? And they just change around the answers and questions. And I just memorized it. And it just took hard work to do it. And then I had a Series 7 and I passed it. But I had a record, so I kept getting fired because I had a criminal record prior to that.
This was when?
I passed that. Oh, shit. 40 years ago. So when I took the series, which is a very difficult test, and then I took I think it was a 63 or 68.
Yeah, I think
and I passed that. And later on, when I was jammed up and this all came out, and the prosecutors, everything was surprised that I actually did take these tests. And I'm like, I may look stupid, but I'm not stupid. But it only takes hard work. And listen, I was, since I'm a kid, I talked about this. In baseball, you have to sell boosters, always one. I mean, I worked a lot of jobs. I pumped gas. I had a newspaper route. So I was always at work, always made money. I always, in business, I was always successful. Parking business, I was successful. Glass businesses was successful. My nightclubs were successful. So I really don't have an excuse. So I don't make one. I don't say, oh, my dad did this. And people read that book, Darkest Hour, that I put out, and they, they feel bad for you. And you say, I said, I don't feel bad for me. I says, he taught me what he thought would be the best to keep me, alive, safe, and whatever. There's no excuse for my life. My father loved me. I mean, whatever. It's just all he knew. He taught me what he knew. So I don't play the victim with all that. You had a hard life. A lot of people had hard lives. I mean, forget about me. Let's go to some of these countries, whether it's Nigeria or somewhere in Africa where they live in huts. Everybody has it worse than the next person. So when I hear that in this country, well, try another country. Try communism and see if you like it there. So, some people are more fortunate than others. And again, take responsibility for ourselves and you can be successful.
When you were like, I guess, when is the first time you realized everything that you had done? Not about like the first time you took responsibility, but like the first time that you sat there and really realized, shit, I've killed a lot of people. I've been extremely violent. Like, obviously you knew before these things, but like where it hit you to another level where you actually felt it and could absorb and process it. Because I think sometimes when people go through traumatic things, it takes a long time for them to process. When does the processing happen? Does it happen when you're alone in solitary confinement? Does it happen? Yeah.
Just hit it. Because you know what? When I came back from Florida, it was Christmas Eve. And it was snowing out. Everybody was on the top wishing each other Merry Christmas. And I was in shackles, hands and legs, and black boxed. And, you treated like what I was. Was a dangerous guy. And they put me in a solitary confinement cell in Falkenberg. And, it was all over the news. So everybody was screaming from tier to tier that I came in. It was all over the news, and everybody's talking to me, yelling about guys that were cooperating against me and, telling me facts and different things. And I was sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, and one of the guys across from me was a very dangerous guy that was also there for a lot of murders. And he started talking. I hate talking through the fence because you got to scream. And I was never that guy. And he kept trying to talk to me, and, they're in solitary. They want to talk. I want to lay down, and I'm disgusted. I was thinking a lot. And he was talking about himself and his case a little bit through the vents. And some of the things he said made me think, like, man, you're a pretty smart guy. Him. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy's pretty smart. So I started thinking about a lot of these street guys that I know are hustling bastards. They know how to make money. They just maneuvering, and they're good at making money and hustling. And if you're that good at hustling and making money and maneuvering people, then you would have been good at doing different things, either in sales or something, running a company.
Do you think it's a lack of patience? Because it could take, when you do the legitimate route, it takes longer.
I don't think it takes longer. I think that we're not taught that it doesn't take longer. I think that if it were a little hard work, you can get there faster.
Okay, but John, to make $1 million cash illegally, or if between illegally and legally, if you have the two routes, generally speaking, it's
not really. Think about it. Think about the money a hedge fund guy makes. Past that Series 7 like me, become broke.
To get to the level that you're making $1 million working at a hedge fund, or a couple drug deals.
But a drug dealer too, you don't make a couple. You can't just step in and.
I see.
You got to build your way up in the drug business also to get to that level.
That's also easy. It's so much easier.
But it isn't too, because it's so much easier to lose your life.
Well, there you go. That's the. But assuming you're not going to lose your life, I'm just saying. I understand. I'm just more curious as to the psychology behind it, and if it's people that, if they're so capable, then why?
Let me use a name. Right? And I don't like him, not particularly. I don't really. Carmine Igdello, right? He's not a bright guy. He's actually one of the dumbest guys I know. Yeah, he was Gotti's ex-brother-in-law. He's pretty dumb. I mean, dumb. He can't speak well. He walks, with no class and different things. And he made millions. He was a good businessman. He knew how to make money in business. And I don't mean this as a knock to him that he's dumb. You might be dumb in certain ways, but in other ways, he's pretty smart. So would you take him to a board meeting? No. So, yeah, they'll throw you out. But he knew how to make money. So I'm going to tell you something I've said a lot at talks to kids. You don't have to be good at a lot of things in life. You only got to be good at one thing, and you become very rich. You can be a good plumber and open up a plumbing company and become a multimillionaire. You could be very good as, like my friend who was a doctor, who was a good doctor and become very wealthy, but he had to go to school for a long time to become that. You could be a carpenter and be very aggressive and work for a union, but then start your own company and become very wealthy. You can be a computer analyst. You could be.
It goes back to my point. The patience and the time factor.
So if the time factor is this, how fast do you want to get where you're going? So if you're, like, an example, if you're 16 and you work 20 hours a week, you're not going to make that much money. But if you work 2 jobs and you work 40 hours and 20 hours, yeah, you're making money pretty fast, but you sacrifice it.
Okay, so my question to you is, when you were young, and you're 18 or 19 years old, would you have been okay to spend, knowing yourself back then, would you, if someone told you 2 options, John, either you work 20 years and in 20 years you'll have $1 million in the bank, or when you're 40 years old, or at 25, if you come with me and we do these drug deals, at 25 you'll have $1 million in the bank.
Financially, you're going to make money faster the way you're saying on the street. The problem is you lose.
What would you have picked, though?
If I had to do it again?
Well, no. At that point in time, if you knew guaranteed at 40 years old, I'll have $1 million in the bank, or if I do it the legitimate way, or at 25, I'll have $1 million in the bank if I do it the illegitimate way.
I picked the illegitimate way and I had millions of dollars.
But was it because you didn't know? Was it also because you, like, if you knew for a fact that if you did a legitimate job at 40 years old, you'd have $1 million in the bank, would you still have picked the mob way?
No. I would have picked the mob way.
So to answer, in a lot of ways, that's because there's an uncertainty factor. The mob stuff was more of a certainty that you knew if you were who you are.
Because I wasn't taught the other
right
options.
Right.
Unfortunately, I grew up like most of these kids do on the street, where they don't really understand their options. Like if you work for FedEx and you get a certain amount of money a week, but you're getting your annuities and you're getting your benefits and you're getting, and in 10 years and your stock options rise. If you start at 18, 19 years old, by your 30, you could have that million put away. Plus, you have the security that a gangster never has. And you're not going to risk your life. And you're not going to go to jail. And the promise of meeting good people, and that means socially your friends, your woman, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever you choose, is not going to be the people that I meet. Like I always talk about, people talk to me about strippers, right? Well, they're working regular jobs. They're making a ton of money.
The good ones. I was watching a documentary the other day.
The good one, while you were at the strip club.
I was.
Don't lie to the audience.
I swear, I was studying for, actually, on my show, I was going to get a former stripper and a porn star. Good thing you weren't there, though. Couldn't have done the show correctly. But
why? I could have came to the show with like those. Well, they got those.
No, but she was saying it's exactly why we're not gonna be here. Is what she was saying is that the misconception is that all strippers make a lot of money. The top 10% might make a lot of money. The bottom 90% do not. So whatever, it doesn't matter. But your point. Sorry.
My point with the stripper is, after she's a stripper and she's making $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 or $5,000 a week, depending on who the girl is, it's very hard to go back and now get a job for $400 a week as a receptionist. But the problem is this: everything you do, there is a consequence for what you're doing.
Yeah.
That fast money they're making, they can say what they want, that it's a legal business, which it is. But if you go in the back room, it becomes not a legal business anymore. You're selling yourself for that dollar bill, and there's a consequence to that somewhere. Just like I pay consequences for what I did. For your own personal understanding of what you did to your life, right? And there's going to be subconscious consequence and a conscious consequence. And you're going to pay it no matter what you say, because we're taking shortcuts in life.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not normal for a girl to do that for a dollar bill. Not that they're doing anything in the back room. Just being able to say they're not taking their body and respecting it. And then you're going to get a lot of people say that's not true, right? But there you go, all can have their opinion. They're not respecting their body because they're showing and turning and dancing in front of a guy's face for him to throw a couple bucks at him. And in that, they're giving up a belief in their own, in their self and their ability to do something. If you're gonna do certain things in life, there's consequences that you're gonna pay for that. Now, are they gonna make some of them $5,000 a week? I mean, I know girls that make more than that, actually. And especially in the heyday of strippers, where they make crazy money and they buy themselves everything they want. But somewhere along the line, they could be honest with themselves. There is something they're losing by doing that. And in that business, you're exposing yourself to a lot of drugs, even maybe they're not using it, but they're exposing themselves to the seedy part of the world.
I think what's probably hard though, and you could speak on this, is when you're making easy money illegitimately. It's so hard to then try to start back up legitimate.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult. Listen, that's the hardest thing in life. I talk to guys that were all criminals, right, in the past. Some of them do the right thing. Some of them went back the other way. They can't. And that's the thing. Do you have the fortitude to be able to do the right thing now? And it ain't about money no more. As you get older, it's not about the money. It's about you now. Can you have the strength? And that's where the responsibility comes in. To say, I respect myself enough not to rob that 50,000 before I would have robbed. Like before, like when I lived when I was younger, and I had my estate in Voorhees, right? Unbelievable estate. You drive in my driveway 7 blocks. I feel great about myself. But now I want a pool, right? I want to put a built-in pool, and I want to put in the trees. I want to put a slide in and everything. And that was 100,000. I didn't have the 100,000. I went and I robbed something. I got 100,000. I went to the pool guy and he says, hey, put a pool in for me. He says, well, I'm a little busy. I threw money on the table. I go, how much is it for the pool? I go, yeah, 75,000 start this week. I gave him an extra, whatever it was, 5 or 10,000 cash. I go, in cash. He goes, I'll be there tomorrow. I'm used to that, right? And I'm used to this way, but I just pay a price for doing the way I did it. When you come back now and respect yourself, and when I go sit down with good, legitimate people, I know I'm not full of shit. I'm not down the block sitting with these good people, everyday nice people that respect the law, respect themselves. I'm not around the corner selling a kilo and coming back and being a phony and sitting with them. I'm sitting with them and I'm saying to myself, I deserve to sit with good people because I'm trying to do the right thing and help kids not end up doing some of the stupid shit I did 20 years ago. So there's a responsibility as an adult now. There's a responsibility to respect yourself. And then there's a legacy. You're saying to yourself, I don't want to be known as a lowlife doing what I was doing before, but I want to be respected for the positive stuff I'm doing the last 10 and 15 years now, and hopefully for the rest of my life.
But is there ever a point like where you tell yourself, like, I'm so in deep in this, like people are gonna forever know me as this former hitman, murderer, drug dealer, yada yada. Who the fuck cares? I might as well just,
because I don't care what they look at me, and I care about what I look at myself.
See that I think is the hard part for a lot of people. Is that like I think that a lot of people in your situation, and I would understand them in a weird way, is they say, yeah, it is what it is at this point. I'm 50, 60 years old. I'll be who I'll be, and then I'll die, and that'll be that. How do you tell somebody who's lived their entire life one way, making 10 times what they're making now, and do exactly what you're saying, which is not what I used to do, and for 10 times less, and you're going to have to actually learn to be okay with it.
Because I look at bankers and brokers and Wall Street guys and hedge fund guys that are pieces of shit, right? They wear a suit and tie, and they're robbing the shit out of people every day, right? So I know that because now, I understand the world, right? I ain't a kid anymore. But I say to myself, I don't care what they do. I believe in God. Before, I didn't have that strong faith and belief that this ain't about just now. This is about forever. This is about when we have to pay that price.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really have faith in God? Do you really believe what you're saying? Do you really believe what I do needs to affect my kids, my grandkids, friends, and the strength to show people that no matter what, it's never too late. But when you keep getting the same guy that keeps doing the same thing over and over again, and this is part of the problem again about locking up people and releasing them. They're not changing. They're not trying to change. They're doing shitty things. There's got to be a point that say, okay, we gave you 1 chance. We gave you 2 chances over. How many chances do you want to change your life? Like, you got that opportunity. I'm one of the guys that was lucky to get the opportunity. So do something positive with it. Don't go back and do something negative. And it ain't for that guy or that guy. It's for yourself. You got to say to yourself, I got to get up and respect myself and say, listen, it's never too late to change yourself. and do the right thing.
How many of the violent mob guys, or I guess, were most of the violent mob guys that you know religious?
I used to know a lot of guys that would tell you they're religious to go to church, even in jail. And they're full of shit. They don't live by, they go there and they think like, what are you going there for if you're not going to try to do the right thing? If you're not really...
Back in the day, did you go?
No.
So you...
I just went socially with my friends. I wasn't Catholic. I was Muslim. I was born Muslim. Not that I followed.
But now you go to church.
I go to church religiously.
And I'm curious because, like, see, that I think is a valid answer to your point of why change now, is because in your eyes, because you are religious now, you think you believe that there is life after, right? And so therefore it's not just about, like, some people could basically sign off and be like, okay, I was a drug dealer and murderer, that's it, I'll keep doing it when I get out of jail, and because I'll always be like that. You took the other approach and you said, I was who I was, but now I believe in something else. I believe it's not just about today, it's not just about my legacy, it's about when I also potentially in the afterlife, right? Because there's a higher power, there's something that you believe in that's bigger than what's here. But for some people, they don't ever get to that point. And that's why I'm curious, like, how many people back from your life, from the old life, really were religious, and or the ones that changed, why, right? Because even people that are publicly big figures, former mob figures like Michael Franzese, I'm using him as an example because he talks about his religion and his faith openly now. And he said, and I remember when I sat down with him, that it became a big part of who he is today. And it sounds like it's a similar case for you. And I'm wondering what kind of prompts you to that. Is it because of the past? Is it because of something else?
I think that, I think about this a lot. I was in church yesterday. I sat in the chapel, there was no service. And I sit there sometimes and I think and I talk and I pray. And I think that my path, I don't understand God's reasoning for things, is maybe to exactly what I'm doing. I want to believe that. I want to believe that I had to go through what I went through to be able to pass a message to who I'm passing it now, whether it's on TV shows, whether it's to kids, whether it's to schools, whether I had to suffer the years I suffered, because for me to realize what I know today, it would have took that. And I say this about, people when they ask me about, when somebody wrote it the other day, I think it was on Dennis's feed, on a fight about losing. You'll never know how to win if you never lost. So that's part of the same thing what I'm saying. You can never be a good winner without being a good loser. So when you lose, you can lose with dignity. When you do something wrong, you got to be able to accept it, to move past it. And the only way to move past it is to work at being a better person. So every day when someone is in a car and they want to threaten me and I don't know the person, and whether you're wrong or right, maybe cut somebody off and they're aggressive, you got to hold yourself back and say, what am I, an idiot? I'm never going to see this guy in my life again. Why am I even arguing? Smile, say you're sorry, and keep going even if it wasn't your fault. But if you're not able to forget your ego, right, because that's a big part of it. Humility is a big thing. And if you can't get to humility, you're never going to get to change. So I learned to learn what humility is. I learned to not have an ego. And I learned also, every time somebody challenges you, I'm not in the ring as a fighter getting paid. So who cares what they say? This is not about, it's a bigger picture than just me.
Did you think the humility started when you got out and you were driving people around and doing jobs that you would never imagine you would do, or did it start when you were in jail?
It started when I talked to guys like Dave, right, Gentile, who I talked to, was a very good friend of mine, Dr. Genti, Tuskegee, and the people that I surrounded myself with, like Timmy Jones and Kevin Jones and Peter Graham, and some real good, positive people in the world.
So after jail?
It was mostly after jail, and they used to try to talk to me, these people before that. I didn't want to hear it. But now I learned that, just like anything else, who you socialize with is a big, it means a lot of how you carry yourself and how you behave and how you act and what you want for your future. Because if you stay with bums, you're going to become a bum. If you stay with successful people, it's going to give you drive to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And when you change the way you speak, carry, dress, I think it'll help you change, where you're going to go with your life. And again, as you're getting older, I still believe the same thing. And I believe this with ball players. I get aggravated at some of the ball players, some of the things they do, because it ain't about them. You're lucky. You're filthy rich. You're on TV or TV personalities. You owe it to these kids to say something different, positive. Stop having these victim attitudes when you're very wealthy and you have it a lot better than everybody else, and you're still talking against, especially when I hear them talking against this country. I hate that. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. You know what? Stop talking about you're fortunate to have a good life here. Just what I said. You could be living somewhere in where they're having earthquakes and different things. People are losing their lives. Are living in poverty everywhere. It doesn't matter where, anywhere in the world. And and you're not happy for what you have, and work harder for what you want further, but don't do it in the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I was just thinking like 2 seconds ago is I think it's so interesting that
Haiti. I was thinking about Haiti, by the way, because they had earthquakes. Imagine living there and all the people that died, and then you got somebody here that's on TV making whatever they're making. And they're always complaining, and they're always bitching, and they're always trying to divide the country. It drives me crazy.
I think it's what I was going to say is I think what's so interesting is, and this, again, it's unfortunate that it's become political to say that I love the country I live in, right? But you love this country dearly. And it's so interesting because it's also this country that wanted to lock you up for so many years.
But I'm not the victim. The country locked me up because I was doing the wrong thing.
But I just think it's
I'm not against.
Well, it's a good example of somebody who can objectively change you.
A cop pulled me over the other day to talk to me. Not pulled me over that, and he pulled me over because he watches some of our stuff over the years, and we started talking. And I said to him,
"Where did he pull you over?"
No, we were driving and we seen each other, and he waved and he said, "Hey, John," and we were at a red light, and I pulled over. We started talking, and he said to me, I said, we started talking about this kind of subject, and I'm like, I'm not like everybody else. I don't hate the guy that arrested me. That was his job. If I wasn't doing something wrong, he wouldn't arrest me. If I didn't speed in the car, he's not pulling me over. If I did not use my blinker, he just picked me out of everybody and go, I don't like the way he looks.
You know what's funny? You're very much like I think you like people. You're a big believer in doing your job, and your job at the time was being a hitman. That's why it's like funny that you probably respect the judges and the people that put you in. Well, some that put you in jail because they were doing their job, right? Like I guess Rudy Giuliani in the commission case, he was doing his job. And I think it's so funny because a lot of people would be like, they could take what we're talking about, the victim mentality. They could say, well, fuck that judge and fuck that police officer and fuck that guy because they did this to me. But your thing is the opposite. Is they were good at doing their job. So
if they do their job properly,
if they do it the right way,
the Duca brothers, right? I talked about them. They're Albanian, and someone said, "Oh, you're sticking up from there because they're Albanian." No, that's not true. They're not terrorists. 3 of the brothers went to jail. The father died, and I keep saying somebody should look at this case again. They're not terrorists. I'm sorry. They got it wrong. These guys are not terrorists. They never had an overt act of violence towards anybody. And the same thing with Oscar Lugo. These are cases that need to be looked at because I'm a realist. I'm just honest. I did the wrong thing. They locked me up. I deserved what I got. When I got beat up by police officers, and I got beat up twice badly, right? Broke nose, broke my arm, split my head open. People noticed that some of the guys that were involved and were bartenders at Cafe Bianco scene, they write me on my thing. I get why they beat me up, though. Even though they shouldn't have. I get it. I was a bad guy then. I get that they might not have got me for what I did do, but they got me for what I didn't do. But that's me putting myself in the street. So I'm not going to say I'm a victim because I'm not. But I'm not getting beat up by police anymore because I comply. Before I had an attitude. It was, you pull me over, fuck you, get out of the car, it was fuck you. I go, and then you want to cry that when you get beat up, well then just comply. comply, right? I did that show with Dan and Mike. Mike, rest in his soul, he died. And comply, then complain. But when you're not doing the right thing, you don't want to comply, right? There's no reason. Just comply. I says, and then afterwards, if they're wrong, you can complain. But I'm not going to be the victim. I don't like that. I says, because there's no coincidence that no one's bothering me anymore when I'm driving or anything else. It's just because I'm a different guy now.
Is there anything that you do feel like you're a victim of?
Nope. Listen, I come from a communist country, my family, right? We've been suppressed forever with Albania in the Ottoman days, and I could go on and on. I come from, my family had were poverty-stricken. I come from, we all lived in one big house, fucking 500s in a house. I didn't come from money. My father was a taxi driver. He was a gambler. We come from nothing, right? So I can play that victim card too, right? I was in jails my whole life, and I can do that, but I'm not going to do it because then you're never going to change your life and get successful. So my attitude to every kid that has it hard is, listen, change your attitude, change your life, take responsibility, and you ain't stupid. You have the ability to do anything you want if you really want to do it. And I want to motivate them. I don't want them to say, I can't do it. Because if you say I can't do it, you'll never do it.
Yeah.
And if you never lose in anything, you'll never be able to win. So those are the motivations for, and I don't like successful people that are on a basketball court, football court, baseball, on TV, on the news. And it's easy for an actor who's rich. Let's use George Clooney. You own an island. You're filthy rich. It's easy for you to complain because you're filthy rich. And you got a million guys at security around you and everything else. But talk to the kid that isn't and give them the motivation to be successful. That's what they should be doing.
I think that's a good place to end. Hopefully somebody's fired up listening to that right now.
I hope so.
They're pumping
you
their
fired
arms
up and you have a hard life, work harder, and you can do it. Be successful.
I like it. I support it. Thank you guys for watching this episode of The Oddest Couple. If you're watching this on YouTube and you made it this far, we appreciate you. Subscribe, like, comment. If you're listening to this, do the same just on the audio side. Follow us on social media. You know where to find us. And we'll see you guys next week.
See you soon. Stay successful. Stay away.